G'day everyone and welcome to Brushes with Beck. Today's video is just a quick little tip that I've been experimenting with recently. Now, as you may or may not know, I have a set of Faber-Castell Albrecht Dura watercolour pencils, but I mostly use regular coloured pencils, Faber-Castell Polychromos and Derwent drawing pencils. Now, when you are using watercolour, you need to preserve the white of your paper to maintain white areas, or you need to go over the top of it with like a paint or a gel pen, which isn't always permanent. And if you want to go over your watercolour pencils with a white colour pencil, it's not always, depending on what paper you're using, you can't always lay a lighter colour pencil over the top of dark colour very easily. So I was experimenting a little bit with this trick and I thought I would share it with you guys, which is basically if you want to preserve a really bright white area, or you want to keep some fine hairs or something highlighted before you do your watercolor pencil layer, this is a neat little trick for that. So you use your, sorry, my cat's knocking something off the cupboard. So you use your white colour pencil. I'm going to show you both the Faber-Castell Polychromos and the Derwent drawing. So you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm just going to draw some lines on the page. Maybe a couple of little dots and circles. And I'm going to do 2 for each one because I'm going to use 2 colours. And I am pressing quite firmly because I want to get good coverage of the pencil. Now the reason this works is because Faber-Castell Polychromos and Derwent drawing pencils are oil-based and wax-based in that order. So the watercolour pencils don't really like to sit on top of them very nicely. They don't run off completely, you still get some little bit of colour layover, but you get a much lighter area where you've laid down your colour. So if you want to do a background on your watercolour pencil piece, but you want some light whiskers in front of that background, this is a good option for that. Draw in those whiskers with your white pencil, and then do your watercolour pencil wash over the top. Alright, so I'm going to go over the top of those white lines. So at this point it looks much like indenting paper, like you would with a little stylus tool to indent to preserve the whites for whiskers for regular coloured pencil. So this is obviously a very rough example. So grab your paintbrush and your water and paint over the top. And as you can see, that covers that quite thoroughly, but as it dries you will see that it lightens up where the, oops, don't have enough water, where the regular coloured pencil is. Ignore my bad painting skills. Now, as I mentioned, it's not bright white. You won't get a perfect white reveal with this technique, but the watercolour pencil does move off the regular colour pencil slightly, so you do get a lighter area. So this is really good for like subtle hints of highlights and, you know, some little lighter areas of fur, or just something like that you want to hint at but not make vivid white. And then you could also use a vivid white over the top, whether it's whatever you use, whether it's a gel pen or gouache paint, which I probably don't recommend over regular coloured pencil, but you can use over watercolour pencil. Or if you've got a textured enough paper, you can use your regular colour pencil over the top, once it's completely dry of course, to get that white highlight in. But this is a neat technique for just adding some depth and texture, and without having to be too fussed about where you're putting your watercolor pencil and where you're painting with that. You can add some of these lighter areas in and not have to worry too much about that, as long as you can see what you're drawing with those lighter areas. And of course, you don't always have to use white. You could use yellow, and then you can get the blue tone over that and create, if your animal is yellow or whatever you're drawing, but the lighting is blue, you can put your blue watercolor pencil over the top of that and subdue that yellow out a little bit. So it's still yellow because the watercolor pencil sort of runs off it a little bit, but it's muted towards the color tone of the lighting or the surrounding area. So like I said, just a very quick little tip, something that I thought you might be interested in, because I know it's quite common for people to use watercolor pencil and then add in details with colored pencil over the top. I have done that myself a couple of times and it is quite enjoyable, but I have been experimenting with laying colored pencil down a little bit before I use the watercolor pencil, just to see what kind of effects I can achieve. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you again next week for another one. Stay creative. Cat booty!